QorusDocs is built for teams that generate pitches, proposals, and RFP responses. These are documents that are critical to winning deals, and they're complex documents to put together. They can be time-consuming, they can be error-prone, but they're critical to actually winning the deal. So QorusDocs helps to be able to produce those documents in a very accurate way, very visually compelling way, but we do it in a way that it doesn't take you days to be able to produce those documents. It takes you hours or minutes to be able to do that, and you can then deploy that time to other winning activities that you might have in your team. So in a law firm, the business development team is called on to build a pitch or respond to an RFP or be part of an RFP panel. And that takes a lot of time to put that stuff together. There's a lot of different data sources that they have to pull information from, experience systems, biographies, maybe they're stored on the website, and then collate all of that and put together this beautiful pitch. And QorusDocs shortcuts that process through its integrations, pulling all those pieces together and produces that compelling document for you, so you're able to win. Let's start in the QorusDocs Hub. And one of the first things that you'll see here is our ability to connect to different content sources to be able to use that content as we're building out a pitch or responding to an RFP. In this demo here, I've got a range of content sources. So you'll see that I'm connected to our experience records, our people records in the firm. I've got some market report content, some approved images. I've also got call transcripts and question and answers, really a full view across all the content that I have in the firm. Now we're going to use this progressively throughout this demo today. We're going to use that content as we're building a pitch. To start building a pitch, one of the first things that we need to do is we need to create what we call a pursuit. Now a pursuit, you can think about this very much like a workplace where all the teams can come in and collaborate together on this pursuit. They can share documents, they can share tasks and activities, and everybody is aware of what's taking place. So in advance of this demo, I've set up a pursuit. This is the Blue Sky RM pursuit, and you can see exactly what I was talking about in this demo here. Here we have content, so you can see all the content that we're collaborating on. In this case, I've got the client's RFP document already loaded into the pursuit, so we're going to use that as part of the process. I also can see any recommended content that my organization has set up for an RFP to help me to get to the right template or the right information as quickly as possible. Looking across at the right here, I have fields that help me track this particular pursuit. So I can see what the due date is on this, where are we storing information, what the value of this is. But we can also see specific information like which client are we dealing with here, what's their address, who's the contact name. These are all customizable fields that are available directly inside of this pursuit, again, so I can track it. Now let's go and respond to an RFP as our first use case. And to do that response, I'm going to use one of my templates over here to build out a draft response. You click on the Create button. Now, as this Create button loads up, what you'll notice is that it's going to pull in some information from this pursuit. Like if I scroll down to the bottom here, you'll see that it's already pulled in the client address and the contact information. But there's a few additional fields that this template is asking me for so that I can produce a first draft document in the most efficient way. It's asking me for executive summary notes, current challenges, and RFP questions. To populate those fields, I'm going to use QPilot to populate the fields there and to put the first drafts in. So what we'll do is we'll load up from my drop-down list here some of my recent files that I've been working with. And there you can see the Blue Sky Energy RFP. I'm going to use that as a reference document for QPilot to work off. But I'm also going to go to a call transcript that we recently had when we did a kickoff on this project. And here you can see the call transcript for energy, this energy project that we did, I'm going to use that as an additional supporting document to help populate the template. So let's ask QPilot to read through those two documents and then to start generating some of these fields and some of these values for us. Now, as I said, QPilot's in the background now. It's taking those two documents, it's processing them, it's reading them, and it's applying specific prompts from every one of these fields into that process so that it's able to find the key challenges in that executive summary, or the current challenges that might want to show up there, and also extracting all of the RFP questions as well that we're going to use in our proposal. So let's hit the continue button, and we're just going to call this the Blue Sky RFP response, and we're going to save that to Word. Now this is going to generate that template. It's going to apply all those fields in. It's also going to save that template into the pursuit so that we can all collaborate on it. And let's go ahead and open up this document. So it's processing this right now, and it's about to open the document. So this is where you first see the results of our proposal capability, or our template capability. Here it's generated a proposal for Blue Sky Energy. It's got my details in, the date in, the proposal number in, but it's populated this document with those fields. It's put in some writer's notes for the executive summary. It's pulled in the energy challenges section that QPilot wrote for us. It's also pulled in some preset content on why shoot Levinson. It's left a section for our experience open, an introduction area, but it's also pulled in the RFP questions as well so that I can start to answer those questions. So what we want to do now is we want to answer the questions in this RFP document. So to do that, I'm going to come down to my questions here, and I'm going to use our Smart Search capability to do that. And let's just pick one question for the purposes of this demo. Let's have a look at this question. What are our key industries that your firm serves? Now, we have some content that's written about this, and we want to insert that content into the document to answer this question. So let's go to Smart Search. I'm going to simply highlight the question over here. It's going to populate that into the box for me, and I'm going to run the search. And what this is doing is it's using this Smart Search capability in the background to find the best answer to this question. And it's found 22 results here. We have one that says, what can we do for you? But I know that this industries that we serve is a great match for this question. So I'm going to simply just go ahead and hit the insert button, and it will pop the industries that we serve, pre-written content, into that document for me, and I'm able to work from that point. If there's information that I might want to write an original answer for, or maybe it's buried in another document, I can also use QPilot to answer questions for me as well. Let's take another example. Let's use this example of looking for the firm's tax ID number. And this time we're going to ask it to go and look in the About Us section. And I'm simply going to ask it just to use the highlighted text here to answer that question. And what it's done is it's used QPilot to go into the references, to look in this basic informations document here, and simply pull out the tax ID number for us. And again, I can now use that by just hitting the insert button, and it'll insert that information directly into the document. So there's two ways that I can find content, either using our Smart Search capability if I want to insert a whole document, or having QPilot write something for me. Let's go to another key feature inside of QorusDocs, and that is our ability to insert into proposal documents various forms of content that maybe come from other integrated sources like the website, a case study library, an experience system, and incorporate those in very visually compelling ways into our document. We're going to go again to the pursuit, and we're going to look in this pursuit at recommended content. And one of the things you'll see here is this tailored resume. So we want to put a resume into this document that's tailored to the exact need of this proposal. in advance of using this resume, I've had a call with someone in our firm whose name is Mary, and I interviewed her to ask her several questions about her experience on energy projects. So I'm going to incorporate her resume in here now, but what I want to do is I want to use her original resume. So there's Mary Ann Bates' original resume, and I want to use the call transcript as well that I had with Mary Ann, where I interviewed her about energy. And let's now run this with QPilot to take all of that content from her original resume, from the call that we did together, and build a tailored resume that will be inserted into this document. So it's running through here, it's populating these sections, it's done a pretty good job, almost complete there. Okay, so QPilot has now completed all the fields that it needs to fill, and the last step here is for us to put a headshot in. So we're going to just upload a headshot from my laptop, and then we have the headshot inserted there. And let's go now and insert this tailored resume directly into the document. And you can see it's done an excellent job there of pulling through the image of Mary Ann and then pulling through all of her experience as well, and inserting that into a beautiful resume. The interesting thing though is that you can see reflected in her professional overview a lot of information from that call transcript about the energy sector. And you can also see that it's prioritized her experience in energy as well, so that this resume matches to this RFP. So let's pull up the experience records that we have. Now we want to filter this down. So we're going to go to the library filter, we're going to go to the industry, and we're going to specifically look for energy and utility and infrastructure experience. So I'm going to filter down to just those items. Let's come back with a whole bunch of experience that we have in our database that matches this. And I'm actually going to select all of these to be able to use them. If we go across to my selections now, I have the opportunity to reorder these documents in whatever order I want. So the way that I want to think about this is I'd like our biggest value one to be right at the top, 1.2 billion. And here's our $50 million one, the green tech one. I want that to go down to the bottom. So I'm going to pull that down to the bottom of the list here, and we'll reorder it in that way. So let's go ahead and insert it. Now before I do that, I want to choose the layout that's the best layout to represent this experience. And I have several options here. I can go with a card-based layout, I can go with a list-based layout, or I could actually go experience with people that's associated with that as well. In this case, I'm just going to go with this first option here, a card-based layout, and we're going to insert that in. So let's see what happens when I hit that insert button. Again, what this is doing in the background, it's collating all that information that it has together, building up all the imagery and the data points there, and in a few seconds we'll see that insert directly into the document beneath here. And there you can see it's gone through that process of actually inserting that into the document, and I have my smart layouts inserted beautifully there. Of course, if I had to do this manually, it would be a lot of copy paste, a lot of reordering, quite frankly a huge amount of time frustrated with formatting inside of Microsoft Word. Now let's imagine we get to the end of this RFP, and we want to make sure that this RFP is accurate. We're going to ask QPilot to help us with that. And to get that right, I'm going to go to one of my smart skills that's already loaded in here. Now a smart skill is a pre-programmed prompt that's already in the system. Either comes from our resource center, or it's something that my organization has tailored and saved for me to be able to use. And at this point in time, I'm able to use the check for red flags prompt. This is going to read the document now, scan the document for any inconsistencies, and come back with some suggestions for me. So let's see how we do here. We're going to ask it to go ahead and perform that check for me. And you can see as you scroll through this prompt, you can see it's going to look for things like vague language, over-promising, jargon and buzzwords. And already it's come back and it's found a bunch of these areas for me where I need to make some changes. For instance, let's look at this one, superlatives and hyperbole. It's found this, our commitment to excellence is reflected in everything that we do. its recommendation should be our dedication to high standards is evident in our work. That's a much better way to write that particular section and to make use of it. And I can now progressively go one by one through each of these red flags, find where it is in the document, and affect that change accurately. Now, just to close the loop, if we come back to our proposal here, we imagine we've gone all the way through this process, we're complete with the pursuit, and there's great news. We won this deal. So we're able to go now to the change status area here. We're able to mark this as closed, and we can indicate that it's won, and we can put a comment in here to say, the team did great work and AI helped us to do this in time. And we can change that status, and that'll close out that pursuit now. Now the benefit to that is that that flows back into our reporting capabilities, and it helps us to be able to look at things like win-loss ratios and how did we do. So here you can see what's our win rate and revenue across different pursuit times. So we're live tracking now how we were effective in winning or losing deals, what was the duration, what was the deal size, and what percentage of deals did we actually win through that process.